Hello everybody. I've got something a little bit different today. I've been working for weeks now. My mission is to see if can I get a good quality suit for less than $300 to $400. Now, let me define what I would say is a good quality suit. 100% wool, outer lining, half canvas construction, and the inner lining not made of polyester. In other words, made of natural materials, right? So let's go. Robert Powers. 4.5 out of 5. My shoe collection. Some stains there. Got a nice lather. Here is the finished product. I'm not a professional. How tight this is, though. You can see it very clearly here. I just cut the thread. So here it goes. Now that's a proper mirror shine. They're both done. Doesn't it look awesome? By the way, guys, I apologize. I've had some audio quality problems with the microphone, and then I'm also having a couple other people just, at the store videotaping for me, so the production quality is not the greatest. I apologize in advance, but I hope the content is still good, okay? So let's get back to work. So first of all, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people at a lot of different levels. I would say a nice suit is one of the more difficult things for me to learn about. Now, let me explain why. I'm going to use a different example just to illustrate a point. When I used to work on cars a lot, muscle cars, like 80s cars that we'd put a bigger engine in and stuff like that, I got into painting cars. Before I painted cars, a good paint job, bad paint job, you couldn't really tell them apart. After I'd painted 3, 4, 5 cars, now I can be driving through a parking lot, not even stop, see a car, say, hey, that car, the fender's been hit and it's been repainted. Well, I can tell just because you develop an eye for things, if that makes sense, okay? So suits in that fashion are, I think, require an eye, and then once you get the eye, it'll be very obvious. So the first thing is, if you're not in that world and you don't care about a nice suit, $1,000 suit probably won't look any different to you than a $200 suit. So maybe if you don't care, then God bless, that's fine. But if you do want to get to that next level and understand and develop that eye for a nice suit, I'm going to link a bunch of videos, not mine, but other people's videos to help with some of those basics, okay? So let me talk about what in my opinion, from watching people like Hugo Jacome, I don't know how you pronounce his name, but his YouTube channel is Sartorial Talks, the Gentleman's Gazette, what was his name, Raphael Sven Snyder. I may be getting the names wrong, but I'll link them the correct spellings below. Also, Antonio Santena. He's got a great YouTube channel. Those are probably the 3 primary ones that I've learned a lot from, and I'll link my favorite videos. But first of all, the outside. Generally, the cheaper ones are going to be polyester. The better ones are going to be wool. Oversimplified, but okay, then there's different grades of wool, okay? Then when you get to the construction, this is one of the main things, the construction of it, a fused lining, and I'm going to show this at some point in the future here, maybe this video, maybe the next. The lining, there's material in between the outer and the inner shell on this, okay? And that how that is constructed, a poor suit will just have some, I don't know what it's made of, but some kind of padding that is basically glued in that's called fused, okay? It's hot. It doesn't shape very well to your body, and then when you dry clean the suit too many times, you'll see puckering. Okay, today I saw 2, 3 people with that at a business expo. The cheap suits, you get this bubbling like rust on a car because the lining and the fusing are separating. So the better ones, the next best up is called half canvas construction, which this suit has. So the inner lining, another one is that they're made of natural materials, okay? Like this one is Bemberg and acetate, not polyester. The artificial materials are hotter, okay? So those are some of the features. I'm not looking for made to measure. I'm not looking for bespoke. What I found is the range is about, I'd say about $500 to $700 to get these features at a store. So I'm going to see if I can get these features for ideally under $300, but at least under $400. Okay, that's my mission. So the other thing I want to help you guys with here is show you the value of tailoring. The value of getting a suit tailored, because you can buy $1,000 suit, and if you don't have it tailored, it doesn't fit right, it's still not going to look very nice. So I think in my books it's perfectly acceptable and necessary to buy a $10 or $25 thrift store sport coat or suit, and then to spend $100 on tailoring it to get it to fit your body type, especially if, like me, you have maybe a non-standard body type, okay? So, and I think that's going to come out better than spending $150, at a local department store in a fairly cheap suit and then not having it tailored in. So I think the tailoring is one of the keys, to getting a suit or sport coat looking very nice. So I'm going to walk you through that process and show you that firsthand. So first of all, what I've got on here, this suit that I'm wearing, if you can see, if I can turn this in, This suit in particular is a Brooks Brothers Regent fit. The Regent is the fit, but the 1818 is the line. And if you look them up online on Brooks Brothers website, this suit's, I think, about $998. Now, if you know me, you know I didn't pay that. So this particular suit, in this condition that you see here, I actually paid $150 for it. And this has not been tailored yet, okay? So I paid $150 for it. And I got it from eBay, right? I should button the top button here, right? You never bottom the bottom button, by the way, okay? So this is before tailoring. And what I want you guys to notice, first of all, I don't have very big, I believe this would be the deltoid muscles, you know, so I have kind of square, flat shoulders. I don't know if you can see. Can you see there at the top of my neck? Can you see what I'm trying to show? Right here, there's a roll, okay? It's just like a slight fold. It just looks odd. It doesn't sit right. The collar isn't too bad, the way the collar sits. You know, is there a little bit of gapping? Yeah, there's a little bit of gapping there. Do you see what I mean? Between my shirt collar, the suit collar. It's not terrible. Okay. And it's a little harder to show on this side because the camera gets in the way. Do you see that little bit of a roll there? Right. I can get a higher shot. Okay. Now, other thing I want you to look at here is the body. Now, I'm thin, obviously, right? You see, so there's a little bit too much here, and here's what that creates. If you can see here, there's a lot of hollow space between the suit and me on the sides. Do you see that? Right? You see right here? And it looks a little bit boxy. Do you see that? Like, in other words, the line here, it's kind of square. Now the sleeve, I'd say this sleeve is just about right. Okay? Now, but if you notice, this hand versus this hand, every suit I ever get or sport coat I ever get, the sleeve is always shorter. I must have a longer right arm, okay? So that's going to need to be adjusted. The coat length, I think, is perfect. I think there's a couple ways to measure. Cup your hands, it should hit there. Another way I've heard is, you know, it should be between, on your hand, between this knuckle and this knuckle. Other tailors have told different, but I think it's a rough rule of thumb. It hits right in the middle there. Pants might need to be hemmed up just a little bit. There is a little bit of a break. Yeah, I think the pants are going to be hemmed up just a little bit. Half inch, maybe. Something like that, an inch. Pants fit really well. Okay. Okay, so now I'm at the tailor's. This is Saville Lane in Fairlawn, Ohio. Saville Lane, S-A-V-I-L-E Lane. And it's just off of what's on Gent Road. This cute little plaza here. And it's right across the street from Summit Mall. And I'm gonna actually go inside and we're gonna show you the tailoring process. And this is considered a partial break? Is that what you would call this?
A slight to medium break.
Slight to medium break.
Slight
okay.
to medium, yep.
And a break should never have like two bunches, right? They should never bunch.
Well, that's and some people care for that. It's called a double break.
Oh, really?
It's actually a lot of length on the bottom.
Okay.
But it looks sloppy.
Okay. I think it's ideal too when you get none at the back, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't want it to bunch up in the back, and like you had mentioned, you don't want to see sock either.
Right. I know that is a style, especially with the skinny fit stuff. This is called Regent Fit for Brooks Brothers. So I think that's a tailored, not a slim, right? But it's like between a slim and a traditional fit.
Yes, yes. So I know that Brooks Brothers has a couple of different fits, and I'm not as familiar, but...
There's Regent, there's Milano Fit. I think the Milano is the bigger, I'm trying to remember. I don't know if you guys notice here. She's taking a lot of time. And what's really interesting I'm learning from this is my legs are not the same length. I already knew my arms are not the same length. I don't know if it's a hip geometry or what, but she said one of my legs is like a 1/4 inch different than the other. And this is, I think, you know, I think it's perfectly acceptable to spend more on tailoring even than, you know, you may get a cheap garment somewhere, you know, if you pick it up secondhand or thrift or whatever, to, you know, spend $100 for tailoring on a suit that you may have picked up for $25 or $50. I think it's perfectly acceptable and necessary.
So the other thing that we do too is we make sure when we tailor it, we actually cut the pant at an angle.
Oh, really? Okay.
So It's only about a 1/4 inch difference from the front to the back,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, you have this higher shoe stance here, so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes what happens is we bring it up
Okay.
in the front of it.
I think I have high arches. I
Oh,
don't know that for a
yeah.
fact, but I think I have high arches. Because like these are triple E width shoes, and you see the V on the Oxford there, how it's open at the top. You know, that always seems to happen. So, you know what I'm figuring out too is I get stuff that fits better, then it's exposing the fact that I don't have tailored shirts. It's like a never ending.
It's never
Right, you know.
ending.
So you're just gonna measure off my thumbs, right?
Yep, so we always want to measure from the base of your thumb to the top of the wrist.
Base of the thumb to the top of the wrist. Okay. Top of the wrist meaning the
I
wrist
mean, top of wrist of the
coat.
Yeah. mhm.
Okay.
So then what you want to do is we start with 4 inches, that's
Uh-huh.
the average, and then based on how much cuff you want to show, we
Mhm.
either lengthen or shorten it. So I'm going to have you turn face me just for a minute.
Okay. To me, my left hand, the audience's right is perfect. I don't know if you'd agree. But what I see is my right arm. There's more cuff showing. Right? I feel like even when I breathe, it adjusts the stuff. Another thing I've kind of figured out is when something fits, I can adjust a coat that's close to fitting, like on my body. You know, like you pull the sleeve down that's, you know, longer and they look even. But I think the real judge is when I move around, you know, does it stay? Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to articulate, but the good-fitting stuff I just feel good in is what I figured out, you know? The ill-fitting stuff I'm constantly readjusting, but when I get something that's tailored and fits good, I just feel great in it and confident. You know, it just makes me feel better all day long. You know, because I'm not pulling the sleeve that's short, you know, to try to put it where I want it. You know, then I can worry about the people that I'm with rather than, you know, one sleeve is sticking out a 1/2 inch more.
Like some of your other ones, you can definitely tell, but if you look at the back of your, I mean, it's just so, I mean, if I push it up, I can make it more prominent, but as you wear it,
In other words, to get rid of that, you have to lower the collar in
Yep.
essence, right? Okay. How much does that add in cost?
I believe, I have to look in the system. I think it's anywhere between $30 to $40 to do a lower the collar.
And if you did that, would it take out this bulge here? Okay.
So sometimes when you have square shoulders, you actually will see a little bit of a tension line here, and it pulls, and so you see a little bit of a ripple right here. His is so subtle on this particular garment. Some garments are, when you wear it, because every garment's not the same, some become more prominent, others are more subtle. This one's very subtle. So to do that type of work, you have to actually completely open up this collar line, open up the seam here, open up the seam here, and seam here to get rid of the collar roll.
This geometric 3D thing. Yeah, here, so it's a lot of. Yeah.
So then
you said $30, $40, maybe more, maybe even $50 work, somewhere in that ballpark.
Right.
I'm not trying to, okay.
And is it worth, then you have to think about,
Yeah.
is it worth the investment because it's so subtle? If it was more prominent like this, like if it was more prominent like that, then it's definitely worth the investment. But because it's so subtle, the only person that probably would notice was you or
and here's my
me.
real question. I think it's more on this side, and I think the question I asked a second ago off camera was, will it get rid of that bump
Yeah.
here? And I think your answer was
No, well, it'll reduce it a little bit, but not get rid of it entirely because part of it's the shoulder pad that you're using. Every shoulder pad's slightly different in how it lays on someone.
And
So sometimes if you press it down a little bit more, it will kind of minimize that.
And this right here, what we're talking about right here, is exactly the difference between what this is off the rack tailored, is what I'm
Yeah,
going to have,
right.
versus made to measure versus bespoke,
right,
And made to
right.
measure and bespoke are going to be pretty close.
They're
right?
different too.
They're
So made
different.
to measure essentially will take a template and adjust a template to your measurements.
That's
Bespoke,
what you do? Your
no,
specialty? No.
No, we actually will custom cut
Uh-huh.
the template to your measurements.
So is what you do technically bespoke
So
or semi-bespoke?
semi-bespoke.
Semi-
Right.
semi-bespoke,
It's
okay.
custom. Right. Right.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Because there are some things that.
Okay, we're talking about is trying to bring in the chest, the this part, right?
That right at the front panel. So you have a couple of issues. If you look at, there's a pocket placement right here.
Okay.
So when you are reducing the chest, you You have to sometimes go, you have to cut the line, and sometimes if it gets too close, the balance of the
Oh.
pocket to the edge of the jacket is off.
Wow.
So, and then if you want to reduce this right here,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you can take it in a little bit, but then your armhole gets impacted.
Mm-hmm.
So the armhole comes higher, and there's only probably about a quarter, maybe a quarter to a half inch that we can actually take into the armhole.
Mm-hmm.
And then to do that type of work, you have to take the entire sleeve off
Oh wow.
and then taper it in and reattach it. So you have to look also at, is it worth the investment to do it? Because it's a
Okay.
big job. I believe that that's about a $40, $50 job too, just to start working in this area. And then you have to
Times
also
two
look,
or for both?
depends.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes we just have to work here. It's the same cost. But sometimes when we connect it all together, it's a little bit more.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and so for you, I would say, because your armhole's pretty high already.
Yeah, like when you touch there, I can also like already almost feel it in my armpit.
Yeah, I think that that's too high of an armhole, so I probably wouldn't mess around with this area.
Okay.
But-
At all, so nothing in the side, just leave
Now,
it.
yeah,
Or-
and if you want to taper it a little bit, let's see here. You want to take it in, you can take it in on the sides
Okay.
if you want to do it that way.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And so let me grab my pen.
And so you're just going to take it in on the sides, is what you're talking about now, right? Okay.
So what we're doing right
And not
now,
mess with the armholes, which isn't going to be as effective. Is that a fair?
yeah, it's not going to be as effective. It won't reduce a lot of this extra fabric or extra room, but it will help give
Okay.
you a little bit more shape.
Okay. And once again, this is why there is such a thing as made to measure and semi-bespoke and bespoke versus this is exactly the difference you're going to have versus off the rack, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can get closer with the tailor. So this is making a lot more sense to me, you know. I guess the layperson probably doesn't think of a coat. You know, you look at it, it's just a coat. You know what I mean? Just like someone who's a novice and doesn't know anything about engines, doesn't think of an engine as having an engine block and cylinder heads and valves and valve spring retainers and you know what I mean. And then changing one component affects everything else, and that's really what I'm seeing. That's what I'm learning from you. And what those components are, because like you said, I never would have thought of the pocket as a functional item that you have to avoid when narrowing a coat.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is pretty cool. This is the kind of stuff that I think people really don't understand, and you know they want to know why. Okay, what is the difference? You know, because you know there's obviously a huge difference between spending 200 versus 500 versus 1,000 versus 3,000 on a suit. I think it's good. I think they get the point.
Okay.
See, now I have a taper. It's pinned, right? In the back or the sides. And now I have a taper.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So here's an example of a cheap suit. I think this suit was somewhere in the neighborhood of about for the both parts about $140, somewhere in that ballpark, 120, 150. It's a Van Heusen suit. At first it doesn't look bad, but you can see here as I raise my arm how high the how low the armhole is, which creates a lot of bunching there on the sides. Can you see just how you move it all, it wrinkles terribly. And another thing here on the side, at first it looks okay with the arm, but you see when my arm is in a resting position, it's called a pitch, and it creates horrible wrinkling. The pitch of the armhole is off. The fabric is just not very high quality material. It's a rayon and polyester mix, and you raise your hand, it doesn't move well at all. So I hope that kind of helps you get a little bit better of an eye for a cheap suit versus a nicer suit. All right, back at South of the Lane. It's tailored and I'm all smiles and just put this on. If you look here up at the neckline, I guess you're already done at the pant cuffs, but we'll start at the neckline here, right? I'm not sure, is it better if I do this, Wahid, and you shoot into the mirror or on me? Neck roll is mostly gone. You can see there was a big roll right there. It fits great. You see, I've got some shape now. It's got that little bit of taper to it. Both of the sleeves are, I think, perfect. This shirt might be I think this shirt is actually a little bit long on me. What it's going to do now is it's going to show the fact that my shirts need to be tailored, is what it's going to expose. See the break on the cuffs there is wonderful. I just happen to be wearing derbies today. I probably would normally not wear. I would normally not wear a derby with a suit, I don't think. So awesome, awesome. Fits great. Right. Like I said, it's not custom. You know, that's why there is another level called custom, right? But and if you get custom, then you get this stuff fitting exact, right? I mean, that's what you get. And we talked about taking more material out of here, which remember Cindy said you couldn't because now the pocket gets so close to,
Right.
you know, you don't think of you having structural problems in a suit. You don't think of it that way, but it's wonderful. I love it. So let's say now I've got my first nice suit, right? Awesome, awesome. Well worth the money. Well worth the money spent. So try the other one on. Thank you. Okay, so this one, this is a, I don't remember if I showed this one before. So this one is a Joseph Abboud jacket. Okay, and fits pretty well. You can see the neck. Can you see the neckline? It's not perfect. I don't know if you can tell. You know, it's got a little bit of a roll, neck roll there again because, you know, just the way my flat shoulders are structured. But they got the sleeves dead on. This one's got a little more room. This is not, I'd say this is a traditional fit, where the other one is a slimmer fit. I guess the other one's a modern fit. This one is a traditional fit. So it's a little bit boxier by design. Sleeves are just right. Pant legs, it's got a break on it. It's got a little bit more of a break on these on purpose because, again, it's not a modern fit. So generally, the slimmer the fit, the less break you're gonna have. So, not bad though, huh? So awesome. Awesome. So this is the work they do here at Saville Lane in Fair Lawn, Ohio on Gent Road. And thank you guys very much. So as we wrap this up here, let me give you the total of what I actually spent. So first, the Brooks Brothers Regent Fit 1818 suit was $162. It was $150 plus shipping. I got that from eBay. The Joseph Abboud suit, I got that from a thrift store. That was $25. And the tailoring to lower the collars, adjust 3 out of the 4 sleeves, bring in the sides, that was $200, which brings the total cost to $387 for 2 suits. Now, the second one, the Joseph Abboud suit, I would not say fits my criteria of a nice suit. You know, so my total cost just for the Brooks Brothers suit, you could say, was about right around $255. So here's one of the biggest things I learned from this lesson here is you can save money if you're willing to put in the work. And I did put in quite a bit of work. I didn't even tell you that the first suit I bought from eBay, I returned because it was not as nice as the seller said it was. It actually had 3 tears in it. You know, so running around town looking for deals, you know, the thrift stores, I really think finding a nice suit at a thrift store is almost a waste of time, at least for me. I'm a 40 regular or 39 long, and 42s through 48 suit size is very common in the thrift stores. 40s is not very common, and then when you do find one, you know, a lot of the times they're 1970s, 1980s styling, and if they are not old styling, then sometimes the condition is just poor with tears. So it's really not worth the effort, I don't think, to find a suit for somebody my size at the thrift store. So I was just very lucky where I found that Joseph Abboud suit. That's actually the first suit I've ever found at a thrift store that actually looks nice and fits me. So one of the big lessons I guess I learned is for somewhere in the mid-5s to see Cindy at Saville Row to have a custom suit made. To get a quote-unquote nice suit, I found it's going to be $550 to $700, right around $600 if you're going the new route through retail stores, even if you're finding sales. You know, very difficult to get anything for less than about $550 to $700 of those criteria, the nice suit that I talked about. So for $550, I think custom to be a deal is the way I look at it now. And the biggest thing that does is when you start to do well financially, you stop trading your own time to save money, and you start actually trading some of your money to buy back some of your time. And I think that's really the place we want to be in life. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I hope you got some value out of that. Please feel free to check out my other videos and subscribe. And God bless. Take care out there.